Alan, my first question to you. I know that you're no Mike Lindell fan. I know that you're no Trump fan. I know that you think the 2020 election was safe and secure. So with that all said, why would you defend a man that you dislike and don't believe in, Mike Lindell?
I like Mike Lindell. I don't make decisions like Red Sox, Yankees. You either like them or you don't like them. About Mike, I like very much. He's a great businessman. There are things about Trump I like very much. What he did in the Middle East was fantastic, and I helped in that process at all. But I'm not supporters of their politics, and I've never picked my cases based on who I support.
So why jump in this one? Why was something, to me, you look at it on face value and you say what the FBI has done is so egregious, you have to jump in because this could happen to anybody.
Yeah, and I would do the same thing if they did it to a Democrat. Part of the reason is because as a liberal Democrat, I know that these cases establish precedents. Today, they're used against Republicans because it's the Democrats who are in power. But I worry that these precedents could lie around like loaded weapons, ready to be used by any authoritarian government, whether it's Republican or Democrat. I just don't want to see precedents like that established. And Garland, who's a decent guy, I remember him as a law student. He was a good nominee to the Supreme Court. He's being pressured, and they're allowing the Justice Department and the FBI to become weaponized.
Hey, I muted my mic so that I don't cough over the beginning of the thing. I'm trying to drink my water. Marco Rubio in it. Do you remember Marco Rubio did that super awesome filibuster back in 10 years ago, and he was on camera like trying to drink water and they're picking on me. He was over like 24 hours. So anyway. Yeah. So how are things? How are you doing?
Hey, William, man, it's good. We're here in Southern California, and it's just good to be on with you. And hey, we're starting the week off right.
Yeah, I love Mondays. I really do. So, and I love Wednesdays. I like to break the mold. You know, people say happy Wednesday. I like Wednesdays. I love being here. This
hump day. Yes.
Just living the human experience is just absolutely amazing. Every day, I'm blessed every day to be here. You know, got people behind me like Bonnie. Bonnie's cool.
Yes.
What's going on? Yeah. So,
crazy
you know, for anybody that may be sort of like, you know, learning the ropes here, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, you know, I started my career in media and entertainment at the age of 3. And I was very fortunate to have had the experience to work with some of the greatest names in entertainment and media. And so I've had the good fortune to be able to live both on the West Coast and on the East Coast. I was born in Long Beach, California, but moved to North Carolina. And you get to see differences in our nation and made friends and traveled all around the world. And it's just an experience to be able to learn, connect, and try to figure the best way to coexist and make everybody win. And I know that's kind of a hard thing to do, but there's got to be that kind of fair medium out there.
Yeah, I think life is a lot easier when people are left to have freedom of movement so far as like without judgment. Like if somebody does something, don't judge that person. Just let him be. He might be up to something good, but you got people that'll see you doing something that's a little out of the ordinary or kind of against the grain, and they'll want to single you out. And your second nature as human is to kind of like go along with the mass formation. And I think, you know, that's been proven when it comes to some of the things that we've been involved in with how the weaponized of the FBI, you know, sort of like, you know, people are so adamant to conform of the thought of being against somebody who's against the grain, like Alan Dershowitz, for instance.
Yes.
You know, he's representing Mike Lindell aside from the fact that he knows, or in his, you know, he thinks that, you know, his opinion, and which is fine because this is a free country, and I'm, you know, that's fine. You can think that. You can think that everything is okay with all that, but his main goal is actually what counts the most, because your opposing opinions are great and should be allowed and engaged. When you stifle that opposed opinion, however it's necessary, through political weaponization of lawfare. Or just pointing at somebody and calling them stupid for not like doing what you did.
Right.
What do you think about that?
You know, I tell you, I'm looking at this thing and knowing a little bit about Dershowitz, and he's an attorney. I mean, you could be a defense attorney and you may not believe that this person is really innocent, but that's his job. And he clearly says, he likes some things that the Democrats did, and he likes some of the things that the Republicans are doing or have done. But here's the key issue is, it's not about this current decision. What he's talking about is how these things could be used if there's a precedent set, how people can kind of spin this thing around, and it can be very, very detrimental in a lot of things. And this isn't what's happening right now. They're talking about things to come, things down the road. And those precedent setting cases can be major.
Well, I can think of one, and maybe I don't know how well you follow along. But I will. I'm an Alex Jones fan because even though he's been right a lot, but he has been off. But if you consider some of the misinformation from these mainstream media companies, I think Alex has had a better run, and but his information is just real hard hitting. And a couple of things that you're talking about so far, setting precedents for, is the guilty by trial, like not even given a fair trial. The judge considered him guilty. The only thing that the jury were going to be used for was just determine how much money was to be given out, and there was no to be given out, no defense on Alex's end. And for those cases to be moving forward, that's a really scary aspect that these judges are allowing to happen. But and that's that precedent actually won't be that far down the road, because what we're looking at is trying to shut down the First Amendment. That's basically what we're looking at.
Yeah. Well, but I think that in many cases in life, we have to stand on our core principles, and me personally, I've always felt like, man, abortion's a tough thing, because yes, and I know that there are cases out there of incest and rape, but I think they really need to drill down on that, because I think people don't see sex and procreation in the same way. And when you start taking a taking a way to get out from under one responsibility, personal responsibility, first of all, hey, I'm just like any other red-blooded American and any other human being. Love and the interaction between a man and a woman, it's a beautiful thing. But you got to know going in, okay, listen, if something happens, I'm going to have to look at you for the rest of my life, or for at least a long, long time. And people need to think about these relationships. People need to have better self-control, because again, in my opinion, these type of things that happen, and I'm not, I've always looked at it in my own thing and said, well, thank God I've never been having to be put in that type of decision, because our position, because I've always wanted to say, I want to do things right. I looked at my own particular family. I looked at my mom, my dad, my siblings, and I said, you know what? I saw my dad work hard and he took care of everybody. And I'm like, Rod, and when I was in college and having fun like everybody else, I said, Rodney, if you make these decisions, which you're about to do, it could change the course of your life. And that innocent little baby has nothing to do with the decision that you and this beautiful young lady's going to have to deal with. And I thought about this and I just said, you know what? And again, of course you can take precautions and things like that, but I think that people need to get their head focused on that innocent person, because that child could be the next person to come up to solve problems or find a cure for disease or something like that. And people just say, oh, I don't want that responsibility. I wasn't ready for it. And I just want to delete this thing. It's hard to hit the delete button on a life. That's just my opinion. And I think that instead of making laws about that has to become a personal and moral call and say, well, you know what? As for me, I might not believe in it or I am for it, but this is how I'm going to conduct my life. But that innocent child, there needs to be an advocate. There needs to be somebody in the middle saying, hey, we need to stand in defense, because that poor child doesn't have a choice in that situation.
I agree totally. And what you mean by that is, the fact that when you break down some of the basics in family, like then the raising of the child gets kind of deteriorated, and then that child grows up to make poor relationship decisions.
That's
Out
right.
of that poor relationships decisions comes angry children because things didn't quite go. They see other kids that were having a good life, that had a father, and see how the interaction. And I came from sort of a broken home as well. Now, here's where this is where the human aspect comes into, and whether or not you can actually, this is where you got to be tough in life.
Right.
This is the thing. Humans are humans, so there are that aspect. Some people can pull themselves up from it. Are you going to let that define who you are? But but other people don't quite get that. Don't get that, and it's one stepping stone they have to get over that they sometimes don't, and causes a rippling effect of like sort of like more and more of this, to where now you don't really have an at-home parent. You don't have anybody that's actually keeping up with what the child's doing and going through and all that. And then that child and the parent is usually busy because it's either working or trying to find a new relationship to be in, which then requires somebody or something to watch the child without proper care, which is either cell phone or grandma, which grandmas are gone now because grandmas have turned into the new cougars. And so you don't even have grandma at home no more. And the kids are just left on their own to fend for themselves. And then you've got companies that have weaponized the media that is taking full advantage of the open opportunity of these kids being glued to a cell phone. And a cell phone is what the FBI took from Mike Lindell, because of the fact that that they knew that it would not only implicate, if they can find anything, that they know that it'll go a whole lot further than what they're looking for. And doing some research on what happened to Mike Lindell, it's amazing that they did all this. There's a really, really gray area when it comes to how the warrant was written out. Did you hear anything about that? Do you know anything?
Yeah, didn't he was in a fast food drive-through and they ended up taking his phone off of him. It was something like that, right?
He was on a hunting trip with a friend.
Trip, okay.
He was en route to a certain destination.
Right.
The FBI agents come beside him in a vehicle and motion for him to pull over. And of course, he gives a story about what happened. He says, I want to see some ID because I'm not, there's a lot of crazy people out here. So they show him a badge. Well, they pull over. And they did James O'Keefe like this back this is not nothing new. They kind of did a bait and switch with James O'Keefe. They were like, they waited for him to get his cell phone out to call his attorney. And as soon as he unlocked his phone, they took it. Do you remember that?
You know what? Listen, I think about a lot of this stuff, and I try to live my life in a biblical term, to the point that I don't care whether it's in your phone or in a file somewhere in your computer. Doggone, you better not be living two type of lives. You better. Me personally, some people say, "Oh, I don't like, Big Brother looking over my shoulder." You know what? We need Big Brother looking over our shoulder, because there are people who are trying to hack into things. There are people who are living here right now in America who could do some serious damage. And of course, I know people say, well, hey, I know something, or some information was sent to me and I just want to sit on it, and I shouldn't be forced to tell what I have or whatever. These are some serious issues that, again, between Democrat, Republican, our nation, national security, jobs, our veterans. There's so many things that all of this stuff is constantly turning and churning. And where's it going to end? Where's it going to end for our nation? Because right now we are in, a crossroads. We got a huge election that's coming up. And I think that, it is kind of suspect, but I think that we all, everybody, me included, everybody, if the federal government said, Rodney, I need your phone, I'm like, look, take it, because if it's something in this thing that's going to harm me, you, our nation, hey, listen, there you go, check it out. And if it really, and the truth of the matter is, this has to come out. whatever it is that he has going on. And we have to be very, very careful about what we say and how we go about things, because I'm telling you, it's getting to the point that, biblically, it's sad when you start calling right wrong and wrong right. We got some serious problems.
We all know that that's pretty much a textbook play right
Mhm.
out of the Karl Marx handbook when it comes to inversion of reality. You flip
Mhm.
everything around.
Mhm.
And we see that with using certain words. They have now the rainbow has been, and that's the new swastika,
Mhm.
because it used to just kind of, stores would have us. I remember this kind of.
Mhm.
I'm only 41 years old, and
Mhm.
so I kind of remember when this rainbow thing came to be,
Mhm.
and there would be certain stores that would have a little sticker on the door to let you know that they were friendly to gays and homosexuals, which
Right.
I agree totally. I think you should be. I think every human being has the right to love and
Mhm.
compassion, no matter who they are, even some
Right.
of the bad ones. There's God deals with the people that he sees fit.
That's right.
So we're not supposed to judge. We do judge. I ain't gonna lie. I've done some judging. Then I go, you know what? I'm gonna pick at that person, and I'll be just like them if I don't stop. So like that old
Right.
saying goes: you make that face long enough, it's gonna stick. And if you make fun of somebody long enough, you're gonna. If you make fun of how they talk, eventually you'll end up talking like that.
Right. That's right.
And what happened to me? You reckon
Well,
I used to talk like this right here, and then I made fun of rednecks, and now I sound like this.
oh, it's all good, man. But what you're saying is, when you look at the world, and again, I don't understand everything. I don't understand every language. I don't understand every culture, but I leave people alone. I don't get in the middle of, well, this person, he wears something on his head. And I don't know. I mean, I really don't care. Whatever he's got, whatever that guy or that woman has going on has nothing to do with me. I'm trying to live the best life I can. I'm trying to stay out of people's business, because the problem is, it gets to be, as long as long as I'm not forcing my stuff on someone, or someone's forcing stuff on me, we have to kind of, step back. And that is the beauty of America. Now, and one other thing that you were talking about, yes, if there's a whole lot of things that could call, single family homes and children. But when I start thinking about America, I think America is probably the easiest place in the world to make it. When I look at TV, and I look at some of these third world countries, and you talk about poor, famine, a caste system, they won't allow you to study. And I'm like, okay, even if I was a little kid and I had maybe my grandma, mom and daddy doing whatever, too busy, there is enough energy in America where you doggone nearly can just float into people. There's enough loving people out here who will help that child, who will step up and say, are you hungry? You're dirty. Where's your parents at? Well, I don't have any parents. There's enough loving people in the world that can kind of coddle and kind of help that. But when you're in some third world country, there is no hope. Everybody's poor. Everybody's, there's disease and dirty water and stuff. And those kids barely make it, but they make it, and can you imagine? And sometimes I think about, I thank God, I'm like, man, even things are not going the way that I want them to. For me personally, I think that, but I'm happy to be here in America. And I think that we need to get together and say, hey, let's get back to production. Let's get back to the real family. Let's get back. And again, there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about weapons and things, and people having personal choices with guns. America has been a place where people have had the right to protect themselves. I believe in that. I believe everybody should have that right. But there needs to be better checks on people, because there's some people that you're like, why do you need that? Why do you need that weapon? And let's check into your background. So you seem to be a hothead. You don't seem to have too much self-control. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, luckily, the left takes advantage of those gray areas of what they call hothead.
Yeah,
They can change the definition at any given moment.
No, but I'm not talking about changing the definition. I'm talking about we need to have a standard. And a hothead is somebody that has been arrested for being aggressive to someone, having had some violent things. Because truthfully, when you on your driver's license, if you on that strip has a lot of information about you, and when you if you've had some run-ins with the law, a lot of times there's information on you. So when the police go to pull you over, they know, hey, be ready. This guy or this woman may be like, and so
you'll know right when they call you tagging. By the way, I've studied lawfare, hands on, if you will, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But so now, are you running for some kind of office over there in California?
I actually ran for mayor of Compton, California. Compton's been one of the wildest cities. I mean, it's a beautiful city. It's right in the heart of Southern California here, it's wedged in between Carson and Long Beach, and just a few miles away from the beach. But this city has had a lot of
as a sort of like a gang run town. All the rap music that was coming out in the time of like the gangster rap, it was straight out of Compton,
That's right. It did.
And those messages were good to have to a certain extent, but nobody came up with any solutions. Everybody's talked about actually kind of like if you watch the music videos, that was glorified. You move to Compton and have a free reign.
Well, they told their story and things like that. But see, with anything, we have to understand it. It's all entertainment. I don't care if it's music, movies, anything. And again, it goes back to the personal choice. Truthfully, I was talking to a colleague. I don't care if there was a whole Dipsy dumpster of fentanyl out here free with a sign on it that said free.
Do not do it.
Don't touch it. I mean, come on. I mean, and when it comes down to gangbanging or whatever like that, it ain't gonna end well for you.
It only exists because the market's there, because you've got people who think it's a good idea, and that's the whole family system. But before we got a few more minutes left. Just talking about Alan Dershowitz and the fact that right now, see, he was actually well known for going to like presidential library to speak. He was he's a Harvard. He taught law school at Harvard. He was that enveloped in law. And right now, every little thing that's going on right now, they're trying to cancel him. The left has all the people that, and I'm not saying that he supported head on, but like he was a Democrat. So he was of the Democrat Party. We're all his Democrat colleagues saying, what a brave man to take time to see if we can figure out if somebody's rights are being violated. But no, they forge ahead and completely go with the narrative of this dude is the big lie. He supports all that. And really he doesn't, what the left doesn't realize is this could be them. That could be them. And whatever happens, a lot of times can happen fourfold. So for instance, you come at a peace-loving American patriot for no reason, just to produce a narrative. Well, what happens if somehow or another they get in control, which that can happen? You're going to end up finding out that it's not so much fun. And so in all honesty, they should thank him for stepping in and trying to mediate what's going on, because Merrick Garland was going to be a Supreme Court justice. You know that, right? There was a nomination, and somehow or another, I don't know who did what, but man. And Clarence Thomas's wife has made a lot of, I can't say what she talks about, but she's stood her ground. I'll just put it like that. And she even told the committee that she was in front of, which is of the 6 of the J word, that these are my opinions and I'm allowed to have them. And if you were if the left has it their way, they want to order somebody to call somebody a certain pronoun. Otherwise, you could be in violation of some sort of human rights law, when it's not the case. It's just free.
Right.
You can call anybody what you want to, as long as you don't put your hands on them or do anything in a kinetic way to harm that person. And boy, the left has took advantage of that by using lawfare. You've seen, like I say, with how they've got all these Soros-backed judges that are working pro bono, but they work for a company that's going to move them up. But those are the ones that are thwarting all the cases that would have been held to help Mike Lindell and his aspects. I can't say what that is, but what you know, right now we used to see lawfare in just little bits and spurts, and so it was hard for people to put together. But whenever somebody like Alan Dershowitz steps in, and other people are coming in, you know, got Jordan Peterson, who was an atheist, didn't even know he was really conservative. He considered himself a liberal, and now realizes that he is. You know, wait a minute here. We've got, you know, they're actually seeing what's going on. It's happening that fast, you know. And what do you think about that?
I think that we as Americans, we're losing faith in our own judicial system. I think it's very, very scary. I mean, back in the day, growing up, I just thought like, okay, that's the government. Those people in those positions are going to make the best decisions for America. Now everybody's starting to be, and again, there are people at home. There are people with wonderful podcasts like this, and they're cranking up so much noise. And there are some people who are right, but the issue about this is when we start, you know, like people like us, and this is a media. And we are talking to more than just one person at a time. We are affecting a lot of people at one time. And my thing is, I'm a little concerned because there are people who know the facts, who know the truth. And then there's other people who are speculating and guessing and throwing darts. And I think that, you know, and the gentleman with InfoWars, I understand. Yes, his initial intentions might have been right. But I'm telling you, you have to walk that line. You got to be very, very careful, because when you start going over and it becomes sensationalism, that's when it becomes a problem. And me personally, like, you know, I just think that we need to get America back to where we are trusting the government. We do need to drain the pool. If they're, you know, they need to start checking everybody's background. At this point, they needed to stop and be like, hold it, stop. We're going through everybody's phone. How you like that? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Everybody turn in your phones, because we got to get America back, and we got to get the faith and the trust back in the American people's hands. So when you vote, you're not sitting here saying, oh, they stole the vote, or they didn't steal it, or whatever.
We'll be careful on some of those wordings. We got to watch.
Oh, we don't say stole. I mean, or borrowed. Don't say stole. Say borrowed.
Well, but that's definitely true. I don't know that everybody should turn in their phone. My opinion is, and I'll just your opinion. My opinion is like to gain trust back in the whole thing is to just hold people accountable. And if you start doing that, and then you start seeing, like, you know, whenever Biden brought in all those people, that was all the Obama Goonies, everything, the whole shebang is. And when you bring in these guys here and you can see what they're doing, it's pretty obvious and it's pretty dangerous. We've got like a minute and 30 seconds left. I would like to just thank you so much for taking time. It's early in the morning for you right now.
Hey, it's early. We got to get the day started, bro. We got coffee going. We're good.
Yeah, I did that before I got here. It's lunchtime over here. I'm fixing to eat me a roast beef sandwich that I had deli cut meat, because we need to eat that red meat. We got to have that protein so we can fight these lefties off. They want to take that away and make us eat soy.
Don't forget your vegetables. Don't forget your vegetables.
Yes, you got to eat them. Greens are good so you don't get colon cancer, everybody. That's
That's right.
Wait a minute. I might be in another gray area altogether, or a brown area. But anyways, so, like, check this out. I was really fascinated with the fact that you were the little kid in that movie Blazing Saddles. Who did you actually physically get to meet? We got like did you get to meet
Mel Brooks?
Yeah, Mel Brooks.
I met Mel Brooks. Man, met Cleavon Little. Met the whole cast. I had a great time. We'll get into that another time, and hopefully we can have fun talking about it. But I appreciate you having me on your podcast, man, and part of This Way Network. And we really want to make sure that we have a balanced opinion here. And we're just trying to make the best of what we have going on right now, and making sure people are communicating and loving on each other and following that line, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again there, Mr. Rodney. I really appreciate it. And please check us out on This Way Network. Rodney, do you have a YouTube channel?
Oh, yeah. I'm on YouTube. Just catch me, Rodney Allen Rippy. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm out there. Just look for me. We're all there.
And we got a YouTube channel, William Archibald, and we're going to do what we can to save America. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Lots of love.